Hey guys, welcome to Feelings with the Geekiary, our pre-SDCC, I said it right, webcast. It's very hard to say. I'm Erin, and I am here along with Angel, admin Angel, Kai, and Jamie. We're fans, we have feelings, and this is where we webcast about them.
So you can join the conversation a couple different ways. You can use the hashtag Geekiary Feelings on Twitter, or you can just comment here since this is a live show. And there's a little chat box down below because how will we know if you're wrong if you don't tell us? But once again, we're never wrong. We're always right. So,
We can do that. We would like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of those, oh my God, this second week in a row I've done this wrong, are those of the hosts as individuals and do not necessarily represent the Geekiary or the webcast itself as a whole.
Our introductions are very hard to say. Let's just, there's
a lot of consonants involved. It's a thing.
I mean, we've been doing these for like 5 years and they haven't gotten any easier to say. So, yes, again, welcome. This is our pre-San Diego Comic-Con at Home webcast, our annual one. We do this every year, and it's a little different this year, obviously, because we're not in San Diego, even though we all wish we were, I'm sure. So before we jump right in, let's take care of some other business here. Don't forget about our Patreon, patreon.com/thegeekiary. Give us some money so we can go to Comic-Con in San Diego next year. All right. Also be sure to check out the rest of our YouTube channel. We have a bunch of quarantine content and reaction videos that are great. And then let's talk about the biggest news from the past week, and be sure to also check out our the Geekiary's news section on the website. Looks like Jamie, you've got some stuff listed here.
Yeah, so I mentioned this last week, but we got official confirmation on Sunday that tomorrow if you're in America, tomorrow's chapter of Haikyuu, chapter 402, is the last chapter. I'm very upset about this because that's my favorite manga. And it's I was like, I'm sure I'm going to be a sobbing mess. I will review it, and then I'm sure we'll be just like caps lock and everything. So you can look forward to that tomorrow. And then the other piece of news is for all of us Given fans, which a lot of us are. We wrote about the movie when they announced it last year, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was supposed to come out earlier this year, and obviously like COVID pushed it back, but there's a new premiere date for it in Japan, and it's August 22nd. So hopefully that means like we get it soon too.
I didn't
put it out on digital. Like a lot of streaming websites are really beefing up their anime. Like Crunchyroll, put the movie on there.
Yeah. I didn't even know movie theaters were open in Japan yet. But then again, I guess they're open here because we've got the Train to Busan sequel coming out like August 7th as well, which I mentioned last week. In theaters. Yeah. Nope. I know.
Well, they may not be open now, but maybe they intend to have them open then.
I feel like
by then.
Like so.
I don't think they should either, but if they're gonna drop the movie, I'm totally okay with it.
I mean, with Given, it's a little bit. I mean, they're not going for big box office numbers in the U.S. So I can see them dropping an anime movie maybe, but Train to Busan, I feel like has a pretty good following here, and yet they're dropping it in theaters. That's going to kill its box office numbers. It's kind of sad, but hopefully Given will just bypass theaters and Crunchyroll will grab it or something.
I hope.
Doesn't it have to hit theaters to be considered for Oscars though? Maybe that's the issue.
For Train to Busan, yeah, it does. And
that might be the problem.
Yeah, but Given, we don't care about the Oscars. It's anime.
Although if they want to nominate it, I'm not going to argue. They've been very bad about recognizing anime films for Oscars. So if you're going to recognize an anime film for Oscars, please consider Given. I would love that. Thank you.
That would be amazing. It's the only one that came out. Dear Academy. There are very few movies that came out. Look at this cute little gay one. It's
like you over Your Name and Weathering with You. Please consider the gay one about. Thank you.
The Oscars could get 10% gayer, even just 10% gayer. I would be a lot happier.
Let's do it. Drop Given in theaters just long enough.
One weekend.
Okay.
I'm not being a very good moderator because I'm still looking at the schedule for Comic-Con. So anyway, are we done with news? Because really, there hasn't really been much. Yeah,
it's a quiet week.
All the news I've been writing about is Comic-Con related, so I'm just gonna hold off on it.
It's been a quiet week aside from celebrity deaths, which have obviously been very, very difficult. We tend to not write about those.
Yeah.
But we obviously they affect us. So
are we all crying about Grant Imahara right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay. This is why we don't talk about them. Okay.
Let's just do a downer right at the beginning of the webcast, so we're all crying. Just the rest of it.
Last week was a huge downer. Yeah.
Last week was the sad one. Let's try to leave the sads last week. It probably won't work. We're gonna be sad anyway, but we tried.
Different kind of sad.
So let's go right into SDCC at home. I don't know what the correct way. I'm just gonna call it Comic-Con because whatever. I'm actually gonna flip the document. So sorry. So I want to talk about how it's gonna be different this year before we jump into programming. Because obviously it's different this year. We are not in San Diego, and we will all be watching from our own homes, or maybe at a friend's home. I don't know, from home. And that means that, you know, the whole experience is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be everybody kind of experiencing the programming. So for those of us who have been to the actual convention in the past, let's talk about how it's going to be a little bit different this year. And I will go first because I have the first bullet point, which is my liver will get the year off, which is true because, and I think, Angel, you're planning on talking about the social aspect. Like, that's a big part of going to Comic-Con. Is there are parties every night. There's so many things to do. You hang out with the friends year after year. And I was gonna say, I think Angel is having some internet issues, so she'll be back very quickly. Actually, she's here again. So that's obviously the biggest thing, is just that we're not together this year. And what else is different?
I kind of am going to talk about this more in the panel section. But for me, I'm going to be focusing more on smaller panels because I don't have to run around a huge convention hall and sit in the same room every year, which I don't usually get a chance to do at Comic-Con. So that'll be different. But honestly, the part that is the biggest change is kind of what we've already mentioned. Like, I'm bummed by, like, the lack of social stuff, like parties. I'm bummed I can't get to see all of you guys. Like, you know, Comic-Con is great. The panels are fun. But, like, for me, like, waiting in line for the panels, like, overnight for Hall H, that's almost even more fun. Like, you know, because I get to be with all my friends. So
it's also become something of a tradition for some celebrities to kind of just like drop by lines on the days that they have panels and say hi to people in line. So it's kind of like waiting in line for Hall H or Ballroom. Well, usually Hall H. It's kind of like sort of like a con rite of passage, or like just something you always put on your trip list.
Yeah, I had the social aspect is something for me too. I don't do as many parties as everybody else, but a lot of it is like the waiting in line and the getting to meet other fans, and obviously like hang out with you guys or seeing friends of mine that like I only pretty much see at Comic-Con. Obviously that's not happening this year. I do appreciate that my wallet is getting the year off because I live in New York. Like SDCC is my big trip every year. It's pretty much the only time I leave the States because I'm extremely poor. I pay for it with my tax refund. Like, I have to save up money pretty much all year to be able to afford the flight and the hotel and food. So I'm very much looking forward to like not having to shell out essentially $1,000 for this weekend.
Yeah, usually mine's like 1,500 or so, because like Hawaii's so expensive to get away from, like, and I also do it with my tax refund. So I kind of foresaw this. Usually as soon as my tax refund hits, I buy my airfare, and then like a few weeks later is hotel hell, like the hotel apocalypse. And so like all of my money, all my entire tax refund drains right there in those like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But this year, you know, like at the beginning of February, I kind of saw this happening. Like that's when I started writing about like conventions. Like I have my big master post of conventions that are getting canceled. I kind of stopped keeping up with that because there's just so many. I would literally say like every convention is canceled. Like that's it. But like I was starting to write about that and kind of foresaw it. So I didn't buy my airfare, and then the hotel apocalypse day came and went. And so like I feel way wealthier than usual.
Yeah, I was an idiot that still bought her flight. But luckily, like, because with everything is going on, like JetBlue, like I didn't get a refund, but I got credit, which I am like, my family still has our trip planned in September. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I have my flight for that. Well, if it doesn't, I can get credit, like, because I bought that flight before May 31st. If I cancel it, I will get the credit back.
So you can fly to Comic-Con for free next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, just save it for next year.
You're just paying way, 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 way in advance.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
I will not miss the cheeseburgers from the lobby in the Hilton Bayfront.
Oh my God, I eat so many of those every year.
I know, I eat so many of those, but they are total grease bombs, and I have like really bad indigestion. So
they also have the breakfast burrito, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good option, and it's something we have all done, I'm sure. Yeah. But my tummy will be happy this year.
Especially staying in the Hilton. I usually just get like a burger and then I go eat it in the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna be really different. So
yeah. And I also had go ahead, Kurt.
You know what I obviously, like everyone else, I'm gonna miss seeing my friends. My other half is from San Diego, so we usually go there and meet up with his like literal childhood friends and hang out for a week. And then, you know, that's kind of a bummer. We can reschedule that though. I think the one thing that I'll miss is just there's so many celebrities in San Diego at one time that you're gonna see somebody. And I really kind of miss like small scale, like kind of like micro interactions with people. Like you're talking to a guy in line waiting for a hamburger, and then you're like, "Oh, this is the guy that does that board game that I really like." Or you're like hanging out, talking. You know, you're waiting in line for a Jamba Juice, and then you're just like, "Man, your voice sounds really familiar." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I do Kim Possible," and you're like, "Oh, cool, that's great." I feel like if you've gone to Comic-Con ever, you have a story about running into a celebrity in some weird kind of way. And those are always kind of really fun to trot out and share. And there's like no way to accidentally run into anyone at this con. Like everyone you see, it'll be a very intentional interaction. So kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm focusing on smaller scale stuff, because like a lot of times every year I do either Hall H or Ballroom 20. And like I sit in one of those rooms all day. One year I did both of them, Ballroom 20 on like a Friday and Hall H on a Saturday. Oh my God, I was dead. But like it's this like energy rush of being in the room where all of these people, all these creatives that you really love are. Like being in Hall H for the Marvel panel is like mind blowing.
The energy.
This year watching it up on like my computer monitor, it's not going to have that kind of energy. So this is going to kind of get into panels and stuff, so I can save kind of the details on that for later. I was going to say, like, the only big panel I'm looking forward to is Lovecraft Country, because I'm really interested in the show. But other than that, like, I'm focusing on smaller stuff because, I mean, it's, I don't know, it feels like more of an educational year. Like I'm taking online classes and this is like an online class. Like I'm doing all the educational stuff.
Does anyone else feel like, does anyone else feel like
No.
we're going to be sitting on our butts like a lot this time? Like usually there's a lot of walking and you do sit for panels, but I just feel like it's going to be a lot of like sitting on your butt or like maybe walking your dog with a video screen. I don't know how I'm going to like that.
Well, I usually camp out in the same room all day at least once, so I'm already used to like sitting in the same room for 12 hours at least once. Like, so.
I run around so
Fair.
much at Comic-Con because I'm like, for panels, like real big panel. Well, if I have a press room for a panel, I try to get a press pass. If I press room for a show, I try to get a press pass for the panel. So I'm usually like running around. Last year it was like, I was like, I have a panel here and then I have a panel here. So I was like, I'm gonna miss the exercise. I haven't gotten good, decent exercise in like 4 months. So
yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not used to the exercise. So I very much appreciate that I'm not gonna have to do it, because even in normal years, I don't play like I plan for Comic-Con, but I never like build up my leg strength like I say I'm going to. So like my legs
skip leg day.
Yeah. Usually, like, I mean, I'm not the most fit person, so I'm not even going to pretend that, but usually I walk 1.5 miles to 2 miles a day anyway, like to and from the bus stop, to and from work.
I mean, so do I, but
you know, but I haven't been doing that because I've been stuck at home, so I'm even more out of shape than usual. So I would have just been completely dead if I had to walk around.
I still have to go into I go into the office every 3 weeks, and like I normally like that's what I do every day. Is like it's essentially like from my apartment to the subway, and then from subway to my office and back is about 2 miles every day. And I can't do that anymore. Like the first day I have to go into the office after I haven't been in 2 weeks, my legs like kill me. And then I was like, I get home and I'm just like, ow, ow, and like I'm gonna lay down as soon as possible.
I'm tempted to start like, because I mean it's pretty safe here, so I'm tempted to start like walking the Pokestops and stuff just so I can remember like how walking places work.
This has been a weird year, obviously, and I feel bad because my work at my job has really picked up, and I'm not going to get an opportunity to see many panels like during the workday this year. But I definitely am kind of with you, Angel. Like I'm looking forward to maybe finding those kind of deep cut panels, because I'm kind of the opposite of you guys. Like I don't sit in panels all day. I usually am in the Hilton Bayfront all damn day long, like doing press rooms and all. Like I do a lot of TV reporting, so a lot of my panels tend to be in what's the stupid name of the room?
Indigo.
Yeah, right? Indigo. Oh my God.
I remember that. I'm the one that remembered that. That is funny.
That is funny. But I have not been preparing for this at all. So I lost all my Comic-Con whatever.
Mojo.
So yeah. So that is what I will miss. I will miss the Hilton Bayfront.
Me too. Well, that kind of segues into my thing. Like I said before, that Comic-Con is pretty much my only vacation every year. And so like I miss just the whole experience of it all. Like I miss like getting to stay in a hotel room and like, you know, stealing food from like the Wired Lounge or whatever for my dinner or for lunch, because it's for dinner. But and like I just miss like all that kind of stuff, and I really, really miss just like, well, in like the experience of it all, but like walking the show floor. Like there's a virtual show floor, not the same thing. There's like, not to down on, obviously please support these artists and these small businesses, because this is very like, this year is a big financial hit. I have a lot of friends that are artists. They're really, you know, worried about financial stuff this year. Understandable. So is everybody. But it's just nothing beats like walking the show floor and like seeing something you like at the booth and like going in. And a lot of the booths have like really cool like experiences that you can't do virtually. Kirst sort of tried that. I wrote about that yesterday. Not really the same thing. And like I miss offsites and like doing that kind of stuff. Not doing that this year. Like it's all like, because Comic-Con is like, it's not just about panels, you know, it's the whole experience. And I think people that haven't been there don't really get it, because they're always,
it's like the whole city is celebrating.
Yeah.
And even if you can't, like a lot of people can get into things even if they're not going to the convention. It's like basically the best place to lobby con. Like there's Petco Park, and then there's that whole area behind the convention center. That Cosmos experience that I did, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, was pretty incredible. It was basically like a sort of like a VR experience, but you're not wearing goggles. It was like everyone inside of a dome, and that was pretty neat. It's a whole, like, it's a different world for like a week.
Yeah, actually one of Angel's and my roommates, sorry, I was just to go on that, one of Angel's and my roommates like doesn't get tickets to con, but he comes every year just to do like all the offsite stuff. So like there's a lot of people that do that. So it's not just about like the panels, it's everything, because like everything around the convention center for like blocks, it's just like Comic-Con. And even like when you come into the airport, it's decorated for Comic-Con. I don't think it was last year, which really upset me.
Yeah, the offsites are a bummer because those are huge. Like Conan O'Brien, like I know that his show is different now, like, and no one was quite sure what was going to happen, like if he came to Comic-Con now that his show is different. But now we don't even know because there's no Comic-Con. Like, it's we have no idea what changes would have happened. So I don't know.
I really loved last year. Well, I love every year. I tend to stay at the Hard Rock a lot by no reason of that's usually not our preference, but it's just the one we always get, which is weird. But Mary Jane's is like this restaurant that's inside the Hard Rock Hotel, and they usually have it themed every year. And last year, NBC took over the Hard Rock basically, and they had the interdimensional hole of pancakes in Mary Jane's, which was amazing. And I did go there at 2 a.m. for pancakes, and it was good. So sad.
Slightly off topic, but I got a list of the PPP loans, like the government loans for businesses that are struggling, and like I kept seeing Nobu on it, and every time I saw Nobu like in different places, I thought of you at Hard Rock. Nobu in Hawaii, Nobu in New York, Nobu in San Diego, they all got PPP loans, so hopefully they'll still be there. So, I know, I'm weird. I got the list and like searched through it to see what businesses got loans.
I honestly thought Nobu was overhyped until I ate there one year, and now I'm like, oh, I guess I'm budgeting for this now.
It's really
I have
good.
allergies, and they were just like amazing. They came over and they're like, we don't have anything on the menu right now that will suit your allergies, but I will make you something. Like, they were great. I love them.
Maybe I'll be able to afford to go next year because I didn't have to pay for anything this year.
They got a loan.
Very excited to hear that.
The loans only really last until like I think the end of like July, and then so who knows? Nobu could still vanish, I guess. Let's hope not.
No.
I know.
Yeah, Nobu's actually pretty good, and I've had a lot of celebrity encounters in there, a lot. And I remember
like casually looking at them through the entire dining room.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, I was in there for dinner, and the whole cast of Stranger Things, well, like not the whole cast, but like a lot of them were in there having dinner, and I was like, oh my God. And that's when I saw what's the name, Geekiary, Steve Harrington in the flesh with the hair, and I was like,
very cool.
That's awesome. All right, let's move on because this is making me sad. Let's talk about programming. Obviously, that's the big thing, and it's so exciting because people get to experience it this year. So let's talk about the programming.
What? Who wants to start? Oh, I can start.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm back. Yay. Oh. Sorry,
back.
I went out for a while. Like my screens were all black, and I'm like, oh crap.
I was gonna let you go first since your bullet point was first, but then you started to spin, so I was gonna start to talk. Do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I kind of already started talking about it, but there's not a lot of big stuff that I'm interested in this year, and I figure it doesn't have the same energy, so I'm focusing on a lot of the small stuff. And I've done 2 articles that highlight 2 different types of panels. I did one that highlights the LGBTQ plus panels, which there's a lot of, and then also the coronavirus themed panels. Like there's a lot of those as well, which I think are going to be really interesting. And there's one called "This Is Not the Apocalypse You're Looking For," and it's all about kind of what I've already been writing about, like on the website, like how real life disaster and pop culture kind of intersect. That one's on, let's see, Thursday at 1:00 Pacific time, which is like 10 a.m. my time. So we'll
all
see
times are Pacific, just to put that out for everybody.
Yeah. Let's see. There is LGBTQ characters on television at 5:00 on Thursday. So that's one of the other types of panels I wrote about, which that one sounds interesting. Let's see. What other ones? Oh, this one, let's see. This one is very strange. It's called Ultra Lawyer Kaiju Patrol. Let me read this panel description. It's all out lawyers attack. What can kaiju movies teach us about shelter-in-place orders? Are parents financially responsible for kids who create giant napping monsters with cosmic rays? What are the First Amendment lessons from Mothra? Are common carriers such as trains, planes, and ships responsible for protecting passengers from kaiju attacks? Join attorneys Bethany Bangford, Nari Ellie, Thomas Harper, and Joshua Gilliand as they battle legal issues from Ultraman, Gamera, Godzilla, Mothra, and more. And that one is on Saturday at 1. And you can bet your ass I'm going to try everything I can to see that panel, because what the hell?
I don't know what broke. Was that from Bruce?
Yeah, that's Bruce. Sorry. He's being a very bad cat.
Being a cat.
Yeah, he's being a very bad cat. Okay. Sorry, I am back. The only big one that I'm trying to make is HBO's Lovecraft Country on Saturday at 4. Here's another one. How to still be a nerd for a living. So there's always those how to be a nerd for a living panels, but this one specifically is going to focus how you can still do it, like during the pandemic. Let's see what other ones. There's an interesting one on Sunday as well. LGBTQ comics and popular media for young people, because Sundays are almost always like aimed at kids.
Yeah.
So it's a very specific LGBTQ plus panel for kids. So those are the ones that I'm interested in, which is very different from what I'm usually able to get to. So should be interesting.
I'm actually very impressed with the schedule. Like there's a lot more stuff on there than I was sort of expecting. Which makes me very happy, because they're taking it seriously and they're trying to do their best to put out like a good con, even though they're not actually like putting on the con. So I'm like going through the schedule. I was like, wow, there's way more stuff than I was expecting, and there's some big stuff in there too. Like, I mean, I'm not interested in everything, but like Keanu Reeves is doing one. Like that's
The Bill and Ted one, right? I think I have that one marked.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
There's a Matrix one too, right?
There's a Constantine.
Constantine, 15 years. That's the one. Yeah.
So it sounds like he's going to be in several panels. So yeah, no, before you go on, Jamie, I want to reiterate that too, because like I'm going through the schedule and it doesn't look any smaller than a normal year. Like there's still the same amount of panels every hour, every day. Kind of the same spectrum
more or less,
of pop culture. Yeah. I mean, it's very strong programming, definitely.
I wonder if the late date at which they canceled the con has anything to do with that. I know a lot of people, especially creators who can run things from their own home, probably were still eager to get their content out there and kind of talk to fans. But I wonder if on some of the bigger panels, people had already spent money on key aspects and just decided, nah, we already paid for this. Like, I know booking fees for major celebrities are usually done just really far in advance.
I wonder though, because I don't think San Diego Comic-Con does the booking fees type of thing. I feel like San Diego Comic-Con's different from most cons, where a lot of cons are trying to bring in money so they'll pay a celebrity to come. A lot of studios see Comic-Con as a place to promote their stuff, so they're actually the ones that are paying to go to the con. Like the WB panel used to bring in those huge wrapping screens, which were like tens of thousands of dollars. Like, so I don't know. Like, but I
was mostly thinking of the studios had already spent money on things.
So
not
like,
necessarily Keanu Reeves, but more Warner Brothers, Marvel. I don't know, just a thought.
Well, they're not really like Marvel has panels, but not like big Marvel panels. They have like the smaller like comic panels that they normally have.
Fair.
And I don't remember any Warner Brothers stuff.
I don't think I saw anything on that either. But like the ones that
there's
I know Sci-Fi is there. Marvel HQ is there. Sci-Fi's there.
The ones that usually bring like the big like Hall H stuff are generally absent, and those are the ones that usually spend a lot of money, like on the huge wrapping screens and like Marvel.
And
all that stuff. They bring in the big trucks of stuff, and like that's the big financial sink for them, is bringing in stuff either for the show floor, like their huge exhibits that take up way like huge amounts of space, or Hall H, turning Hall H basically into a performance space, which is crazy.
I like it. I think one thing. What?
No, I was just going to say there's like a surprising amount of TV programming to me, like a lot of new shows, which is weird because we can't do anything. But like a lot of new shows are coming out apparently, and they have panels, and it's really interesting to see and get introduced to those ahead of fall. So I haven't had any like regular on TV shows that I'm like pointing at my TV. I don't know why. I don't have like a lot of on TV like shows that I watch live anymore right now. There just hasn't been a lot in the last couple of years. There actually looks like some pretty good stuff I may have to check out this fall. So I will have to look at their panels as well.
You know, it's really interesting when it comes to television that there seems to have been, when it comes to network television, their turnaround is pretty tight, and a lot of that has stopped. Like a lot of the CW stuff has stopped, but when it comes to things like streaming, like Netflix or like HBO, they apparently have that stuff in the can months and months in advance. So a lot of HBO and Netflix stuff is still coming out like it never stopped. Like Lovecraft Country, like I said, but also like His Dark Materials has a panel, and like Netflix has a bunch of stuff coming out. I didn't necessarily look and see if they have any panels, but like you can kind of see the difference in how production works with these. Whereas the longer there is of like post-production work on a show, the higher chance it is we still have content coming our way very soon. Whereas the stuff that's out, a month later after they film is all stopped and dead in the water. So regular television is going to be dead in the fall, but
yeah, I've noticed a lot of the panels are for streaming. Amazon has a lot. HBO had a couple. Actually, I think it was mostly Amazon and HBO that I noticed. Oh, and Disney Plus has a couple.
Yeah,
Disney Plus has at least one.
Disney Plus is interesting
on my list.
because they apparently started production up for Falcon and Winter Soldier in Croatia, which let's be real, I'm not really paying super close attention to how Croatia is doing right now. But apparently well enough for them to film a show. I don't think they have a panel though. But
no, and they had to push back their premiere date.
But for somehow they're filming in Croatia, or at least they were like a month ago. I don't know what the hell's going on now. But
yeah, so my schedule actually looks very similar to the way my schedule would look under a normal year. I have multiple panels at the same time that I want to see. At least this time I don't have to worry about them being on completely opposite sides of the convention center. And I actually have, I mean, I go to a lot of smaller panels that I like to do. I don't have it on my schedule this year, but the best and worst manga of the year is something I like going to, and that's in a room that seats like maybe 100 people. So it's really, I'm excited to see some of the panels that I might not have gotten into because the room is too small and I'm running from somewhere else. But the panel that I'm actually most excited for this year is the Dragon Prince. I love the Dragon Prince. I review it for the Geekiary if you've read my reviews. And I've never been able to make a panel because I usually have a conflict. Last year I missed the panel because I had a press room in the morning right before the panel. And by the time I got over to the panel, the room was full. And that's a big room. It was in one of the sixes, either 6 BCE or 6 BCF or 6 DE. One of those, which are fairly big, that seats like 2,000 people or something like that. And it's just like, it was full. There was no way for me to get in. So I'm excited to actually see a panel. I was like, yay, I don't have to worry about getting into it.
We're all going to get a lot more sleep this year because we don't have to get up at like 6 a.m. to get out there to one of those 6 PDF rooms or like sleep on the concrete to get into Hall H.
Yep.
We can all...
Or we're not out till 2 a.m. every night. That's me.
I actually have Thursday and Friday off, but I have to work Saturday and Sunday, so I'm not work.
I have work on Thursday and Friday, but I do a lot of work just like solo at my computer, so I might have the panels like playing while I'm working. So
yeah, I'll probably put them up on my tablet while I work on Saturday. But so I have that was my big one, obviously. But I'm also excited. We mentioned it before. His Dark Materials. I love his Dark Materials. I'm really excited. Something I have in the doc to talk about is that I feel like a lot of the big panels are pre-recorded, which kind of sucks because obviously, it's not the same as being in the room anyway. The energy is going to be different regardless. But I feel like also with pre-recording the panels is that they were able to get more of the cast of shows to show up. Because sometimes you'll go to a panel, or at least I have, like a show like you're really excited about and like 2 of the cast members are there because of scheduling conflicts or whatever. And so I think like pre-recording it has made it, they could work around everybody's schedule. They film all the stuff because last year's his Dark Materials panel, which was amazing, had 4 cast members. And this year I think it has like 8. So I'm like, James McAvoy not there. Bummer. He was the best part of last year's panel. But still, like, they have like more of the cast. I was like, I'm really excited about that. So that's a good aspect of the virtual panel. I feel like.
Yeah. Playing off of that, Jamie, I think one of the coolest one thing that might actually be like a little bit better about this format, I don't know, we'll see how it plays out. I think it might the how-to panels and like the instructional panels and the industry advice panels. I think those are actually going to maybe come out a little bit better because they're going to have more options they'll be at their house. They'll have everything they need there. The ones that have pre-recorded parts will have like more options for how to kind of present things. I think it's basically going to be all of those how-to classes, how to make a comic start to finish, how to break into voice acting, how to do music for video games. There's a lot of those, and it's basically kind of like a little master class.
And they might be able to demonstrate more if they're recording at home. Like, I don't know how they plan on doing it. Like, I haven't watched. This is the first for everyone, I guess. I can't really say I haven't personally done it because nobody's done this before. But like, it'll be interesting to see if they do like screen sharing on these types of panels.
So cool. That would be great.
They could do it. Who knows?
I'm really the thing that I kind of am hoping for is that people will be able to ask questions in a chat because even though that means your question is going to be in this big scrolling thing of questions and comments, I think the cool thing about that is we're not going to get 17 questions of, first off, I have a 3-part question. And the first thing is, I really enjoyed your run on the Image comic X5Z. And the second thing is, let me propose to my wife. Let me propose to my girlfriend really quick. And then third, can I come up there and take a selfie with you for my baby who has cancer?
Can I have a hug?
Yeah, it's so
Like,
true.
it's just like, it's kind of like a little quality screening. So they actually will like see the questions and answer the ones that look like they'll be interesting to everyone. I know I sound like a really heartless person, but like the number of times you're in Hall H and someone proposes to their girlfriend,
I know.
you're like, that is 5 minutes of everyone that's 10 minutes really of no one doing anything but that.
Yeah, for serious, like that will help cut down on those types of questions for sure. And
I had that in the doc too. I was like, that's the pre-recorded. I was like, but on the plus of the pre-recorded is that they've submitted the questions in advance, so they've already screened them, and nobody can do what happens at the Voltron panel every year, which obviously Voltron isn't on anymore. But there was always one girl who would swap her question. Like she would get her question screened, and then when she got up to the microphone, would swap the question, and then and she is the reason that at the final Voltron panel ever at New York Comic Con, they just didn't have audience questions. So thank you, random person.
It's the same girl every time, like going to the same panel at multiple conventions. God. I'm not gonna mention what ship I think she probably ships, but I can take a guess. I mean, who's on this webcast?
Not the one that I. But yeah, so it's like
the Geekiary as a whole.
Stuff like that, because I think we've all been at conventions where somebody has asked something that's been asked 8,000 times before. And I sort of get that. Not everybody can go to conventions, and not everybody watches the panel videos on YouTube after like I do. But I feel like if you've been in the fandom long enough, you've seen that question somewhere in a gift set form or on Twitter. Do
you guys ever play pranks on each other behind the scenes?
Oh
yeah,
God.
yeah.
And also, if there's ever a voice actor, it's how do you break into voice acting?
There's a whole panel on it this time and every time, but this time everyone can see it.
It doesn't matter. Like I go to anime conventions a lot, and guaranteed, I have never been at a voice acting panel where that question did not come up.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for aspiring actors?
Can I email you my script later?
Yeah.
It was literally a question I heard someone ask. I don't remember what panel it was. It was a few years ago, but somebody asked if they could email a script. And it was literally a panel with people like Gail Simone, which is why I was in the room, and like the head of like the publisher that she was working for right then. And I'm like, no. They're going to blacklist your name, friend.
No. Oh my God.
And I was like, and I don't know if probably we all have sat through that one question that's just like offensive, like not even borderline offensive, but like super offensive. I was at Big Apple Comic Con in like 2011, and I was at a Marina Baccarin panel for Baccarin. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce her last name. And then somebody
Firefly, right?
Yeah, from Firefly, from like a bunch of other stuff. She was there, I think, promoting V. I think V was still on. And somebody like the last question. They made it the last question because it was so offensive. They just like cut questions off after that. But it was like, I don't want to repeat it. It was very offensive.
I need to know though.
Well, it was basically it was about like her race. And
like, what race are you? They literally.
Well, no, he was like, why do you identify as like? And she was just like, excuse me, and everybody was just like this, like nobody could believe that this guy had the balls to like ask that, and I'm just like.
Oh man!
Did she just say no, thank you, and just like wave for security to take him away?
She was just like, "Are you serious right now?" Like it was like a very, really uncomfortable way to end that panel, which had been a fairly nice panel, like up until that. But yeah, like
she gives good panel. Do you is this weird? Do you guys we've all gone to cons for a while. I don't know if this is weird. I'm going semi off script. Please feel free to shush me. Have you guys ever asked a question at a con and then realized, obviously none of us are going to ask something really offensive like, why do you identify as, but have you ever asked a question and then like just it got really awkward?
Yeah, so my very first panel question ever, I was maybe like 14 years old at Anime Expo, and like I was at the Revolutionary Girl Utena movie panel, and I was 14, or maybe 15, and like I'd never talked to like an idol before, and it was like the director, who is apparently super problematic now, but I didn't know that at the time. Things have changed. But like I asked him for clarification on a plot point, which is apparently not something you're supposed to do at a panel, because you're supposed to, like, I don't know the plot. But it was a very confusing movie, and I was really young.
Right.
And so like audience members shouted the answer to me.
No, that's so bad. I'm so sorry.
For me, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It was just, I was really young, and it was the very first question I've ever asked in a panel.
I want to like hug young Stephanie.
I know
That's so bad.
And it's okay, because later on I met him on the show floor and got a selfie with him, and it was like my first like celebrity. Well, not my first. I took a picture with Lucy Lawless when I was like 7, but like my first personal selfie. I don't know, but yeah.
Aaron, I improvise. I never have like scripts or like pre-done questions. I'm very bad. It usually works out for me, but I did the Van Helsing press room a couple of years ago, and I was really like, I had just caught up on it, and I was loving the where the direction of the show was going, and so I had a ton that I wanted to ask. It was like probably the most active I've ever been in a press room, and I was talking to Jonathan Scarf, who is one of the main actors on the show, and he also directs several episodes as well. And I totally lost my train of thought halfway through my question, and I just was like staring up at the ceiling, and I was like, what am I saying? Where am I? What is life? And that was very awkward for me. I pulled it back together, but there for a while I was like, I don't know what I'm saying. So
if you ever have why am I forgetting his name? He's an actor who's in like everything from Doctor Who to like Firefly to Supernatural. Mark Sheppard. If you ever have a chance to interview him, he's the most difficult person to interview. Bad. Because he like will not answer your questions. He'll just like be sassy at you. Because I interviewed him once, and every question I said, he's like, you need to ask the writer. You need to ask the director. I don't know. Ask the director.
That's a terrible question.
Like, not answering anything. Yeah. I made a montage of that and just put Mark Sheppard not answering questions, and that's up on YouTube for like 2014. And it's just a montage of him being like, I don't know.
Mine is I have a few. I don't ask a lot of questions at panels, but I did at Chicago TARDIS in 2010, because like it was the Gareth David Lloyd and Kai Owen panel. They had 3 like the whole weekend, because they basically had like one every day, and so by like Sunday you're getting a lot of like, you're running out of stuff to ask them, because and so like, and then I was, I don't know, caught up on that. I'd actually like on Saturday I actually got to like sit next to Kai Owen at the bar and talk to him for a while, because Chicago TARDIS was always held over Thanksgiving weekend, and Thanksgiving weekend is a big college football rivalry weekend. And I went to Ohio State, and our big rival is Michigan, and the Ohio State-Michigan game was that day. And so I had told my friend that I was there with, that I was like, you can do whatever, I'm going to be in the bar watching the game. And I was, and he like, I had a couple drinks, and I was getting progressively into the game, which we won. And he was sitting next to me, and he was just sort of like, kept looking at me, and then eventually he like slid over, and he's like, so who are we rooting for? And like, you know, and then, so we had a nice like 20-minute conversation, you know, about sports or anything like that. So I was feeling emboldened by that, and I like asked like really asinine questions. that like I sort of cringe at now, but at the same time, like, no, it's a decent question. One of my questions was, if you were an appliance, what appliance would you be? Which, if anybody used to watch Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, that's where I got that from. Because that was how they were able to tell when somebody was it was the Halloween episode that was how they were able to tell when somebody was the evil version is their answer on that question. So there was sort of a reason. But anyway, yeah, everybody just sort of like they answered because they're amazing. But I'm like, everybody just sort of like looked at me and I'm like, I've heard worse questions. Like, honestly, like
no one has asked this yet.
I was like, at least I'm not asking about like your race or sexual
One
orientation.
convention I went to had an even weirder question. It was a supernatural convention, and someone asked, if you were a bee, which cast member would you sting? Like, okay, at least it's creative, but what the hell?
Well, they have so many of those that people are probably just being like, we're just going to ask them, see what, like, you go to enough of those and you're like, you hear the same answers. And I'm like, I don't care what somebody asks, just ask a different question, which was the basis for my, if you were an appliance, what appliance would you be question. But I also have video evidence of this other one because, well, this was actually last year at New York Comic Con because I did the Expanse press line. And we don't get press line a lot. The difference for people that don't know between press line and roundtables is when you have press line, it's just you and the celebrity. So like normally I go in prepared with like 1 or 2 questions. And I was like, at this time I sort of had to come up with a lot more. And I am very bad about planning in advance. But I did have some questions planned. But they usually give you a time limit. You know, you usually only get to ask 2 or 3 questions before they have to move them down the line. So I was totally prepared. I think I had 4 questions planned and they were like generic enough that everybody could answer them. So I'm like good to go. But when I was interviewing Dominique Tipper, who plays Naomi, like it was like the press line was complete chaos. And I had her for like 6 or 7 minutes and I like could not think of, I'm like standing there like, I'm really sorry. Like I don't have anything. And she's just like, it's okay. But I was like,
it's so nice. So
like, I have the entire awkward video on for you guys to see how badly prepared that I was. Because this was also like 9:30 in the morning. It was like, it was chaos. Like,
can we retweet that? Let's just tweet that out just for nostalgia.
I think another favorite one though is when you also got press line and it was the fuck Rashida Jones one.
Oh,
what? Press lines are amazing though. Like I want you to have them like all the time. Like,
yeah, I was like, I actually really love that interview, but that could be kind of awkward because like, yeah, so I had the Robot Chicken press line and I was interviewing Breckenmeyer and first he was like making fun of the name of the site. And so
the Geekiary?
The Geekiary. And he was like, I'm like an aviary for geeks. And he's just like, oh, okay. And then I think I mentioned that I wasn't going to be able to go to the panel, which I normally try to go to the Robot Chicken panel, but I wasn't going to be able to make it because I had another press room. And he was like, well, who with? And I said it was for Angie Tribeca. And he was like, is that Rashida's show? He's like, Rashida.
Rashida show.
I'm like,
I love that. That's like my favorite thing that we've ever had on tape from us.
Yeah, it's like a 4-minute interview and like half of it is making fun of the blog and making fun of the so.
It's so good.
I mean, it's basically like really good blog content because it's talking about our blog. Is it all press is good press? I think that's why Fareed likes Jeff Davis so much.
Oh my God! How did I forget that one?
Yeah,
Jeff Davis interview where he totally was like calling, sat there and like calling out the blog.
Yeah,
I can't believe I forgot that.
I
have that on.
We have a still image of him like staring into the camera too,
like tell Fareed whatever. And it's just like, okay.
Oh my God.
Like I can laugh about it now, but that legitimately
afterwards, I bought you a beer afterwards because I felt so bad. Like we met up for lunch and I'm like, get a beer on me. I was so awkward.
Press rooms and press lines are weird. I was actually looking at my Facebook memories today, and last year I took a video of inside a press room, just like right when all the people. I think it was for Van Helsing. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because Trisha Helfer was in it, and but I took a video of like what it looks like inside a press room. I just like kind of panned across, and it's absolute chaos. Like you've got all the photographers like standing up on tables and chairs going and like, but there's like 50 of them in like this little tiny room. In like trying to fit in with like all of these big round tables, and I mean they're chaos. Yeah. So if you ever want to know what it's like, you don't want to know what it's like. It's insane.
I've basically cheated because I usually have someone guiding me to where Fargo can go, which is a little bit of a cheating. And then people are always looking at me like, who is this person? I don't even recognize the name of their site. And I'm like, I have the dog. I think I did have one. I brought it up with an ulterior motive to tell a story. Do you guys remember a while back when I was like really upset about the whole Hydra Cap thing, and I like talked about it?
Yeah, you wrote an article about that.
I wrote like 5 articles. Yeah, no, like 3. I wrote many.
Well, I just meant like about that panel because I remember that.
We had there was a panel at MegaCon. Oh, I may have written. I don't remember if I wrote about this panel. Was it MegaCon? No, it was C2E2. And somehow at this panel it ended up being like everyone who was responsible for that storyline right there, including Nick Spencer. And I meant to ask a really cool question, like, do you feel like it's a little irresponsible to take such in these troubled times? Do you think that's the most awkward beginning to a question. In these troubled times, do you think it's really smart or fair to like the soldiers who hold up Captain America as an example? And like halfway through the question, I started like crying and talking about my time in Iraq. It got really awkward, and they came down and gave me the last issue to read just to reassure me that it would be okay. And like it got really awkward in the room, and then like it was like probably the most awkward thing I've ever done at a con. I just like asked no more questions the rest of that whole panel. It got weird.
I remember that.
I did take audio in that. Yeah, I took audio in that panel, but again, I like started crying in the middle of it. So I'm like, oh, delete. That never existed.
I was never there. What are you talking about?
No. Somebody else took video of it, and very fortunately, they did me a kindness. They moved around to get my face too, but they did me a kindness, and I never saw it online. So if someone finds it, do not tag me. Don't tag me.
Awkward. Oh man. I mean, we could go on and on and on.
Awkward con
and
stories.
On with like, not even just awkward, just like stories. I mean, and going back to what you were saying earlier, Kai, like about celebrity encounters and stuff, especially at San Diego, you don't just randomly bump into one celebrity during your time. It's like you bump into like 50 million celebrities and of varying notoriety, you know. And it's weird. It's real weird. And you get some real weird experiences. So yeah.
There's still that one instance that haunts me from like 4 or 5 years ago where I was sharing an elevator with a celebrity who I have yet to figure out who he is. Because I got into an elevator going up to my room and the door opens and there's this really excited fan on the other side. It's like, oh my God, I love your work. Like talking to the guy next to me, and I look, I'm just like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't know. And like when the elevator door closed, I'm like, I guess you're important.
Do you want to do an interview about whatever it is that you do?
And he's like, yeah, I've been around a while. It still haunts me years later.
I've definitely been that person. Like, I don't recognize them until they get out of the elevator. And then I'll be like, oh, fuck, that was like...
It's been like 5 years. I still don't know who it was. It was the year we stayed at the Marriott, if you remember that. That was a long time.
No. last year I stayed in the Hard Rock and I was only on like the second floor. So the elevators right outside of our room area is kind of how they were taking people up to the party area, like on the roof. And one night I was just like going back to my room, or like, yeah, I was going back to my room, and I just met eyes with Jake Johnson, and I was just like, you're so cute. That was my story.
I have seen Nichelle Nichols several times at con, and she is incredibly sweet. And I break my no one can pet Fargo at cons rule because somehow she remembers him. Not me. But she sees Fargo and she says, Fargo. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you can pet my dog. And she's always like polite, like, hello, how are you? Puppy. I'm like, that's fine. You can pet my dog.
I've seen pictures of her petting Fargo. Like, I've seen the picture of her.
I mean, Fargo is very memorable. I mean, he is such a good boy. But like, that's really funny that she like calls him by his name and stuff. There he is.
Hi,
Fargo. Fargo has to lose about 5 to 10 pounds because we weighed him at the vet today and he was 95 pounds. And he's only supposed to be 85.
Big doggle.
He's a tank, dudes. All right.
And he's naked right now.
He is naked. I mean, you could pet him, but you can't pet him. That means you could
pet him.
Let's pet him through the screen.
I'll give him proxy pets. I just want to sneak my dog into every webcast I'm in.
Bruce kind of had a cameo earlier, and
Minnie's back here.
I saw
sleeping.
Minnie. Bruce, I don't know what Bruce knocked over, but I just picture him like locking eyes with you, and you like trying to webcast, and him just like.
It was a lava lamp.
Oh
no! Because I'm in my friend's son's room, so if it would have broken, it would have been like a disaster. It's like, I'm sorry, my cat is ruining your home while I'm staying here.
Okay, I sort of, because I've been looking back at my schedule. Can we get back to program?
Yes.
Because I was like, I wrote a like programming highlights piece for the Geekiary earlier this week. That's not obviously my full schedule, and there's a lot of stuff I left off there. It was sort of just like, here's what I'm really excited about. So one of the ones I want to mention is The Right Stuff. It's Disney Plus. It's a new show from Disney Plus. I'm a huge space program nerd, and The Right Stuff was a book about the early days of the space NASA's manned space flight. So it's like the Gemini program and everything like that. So I'm extremely excited about that because I didn't know it was going to be a thing. And Patrick Adams is in it as John Glenn, and I love Patrick Adams.
Mae Jemison is in it too.
Oh yeah, Mae Jemison is.
How cool is that?
But yeah, so I'm excited about that. And there's also, I guess I should be giving times for these two. That's Saturday at 1. And then something else I'm excited about is like Friday night at 6 is the TV Guide fan favorites panel. That is something I try to go, like that's a panel I try to go to every year. It's always amazing. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, they basically just like take like random actors from shows and put them all on a panel, and it's just sort of like, here you go.
Do you like these people? Here they are.
Yep, here they are. And it's always just like random shows, and then like everybody asks some questions, and it's almost always like, I've never not had fun at that panel. That's Friday at 6. That's
I see that Hale Appleman was on that panel?
I did. Oh yeah, from the Magicians. Yeah.
I'm trying to load it. Let me see. Yes, he is. It's also Lindsay Morgan and Richard Harmon from The 100. I love Richard. Robbie Amell is on it. Jerry Ryan and people I don't know.
I like Robbie Amell. I joined his wine club for like 2 years just because I liked the Amells. The wine is okay. It's probably better now that they've had time to mature their vines. But in the beginning, I was like, meh.
I really resented Robbie Amell for like a really long time because he was on Life with Derek and he came in as He came in as the romantic foil, and he was so bad. We made fun of him all the time because he was like just not very good. So it's like whenever I see him pop up on stuff, I'm just like, Max, what are you doing here? Anyway, so
I haven't even thought of that in like so long.
Other panels I'm excited about. There's Saturday at 6. There's a Farscape panel.
Mm-hmm.
I love Farscape. They used to air it, I think, probably on Sci-Fi when it was still the Sci-Fi channel. It's
on Amazon Prime now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Love Farscape. It's
I am
ridiculous.
definitely rewatching right now.
And in this season of reboots, that is something that they should consider bringing back because it is amazing. And then the last one I wanted to mention was something I put in my that they changed the name of it. But it was something on movie posters.
I saw that one too.
Yeah, they I had this in my recommendations. They changed the title of the panel, but it's Masters of the Illustrated Film Poster. So it's at 3:00 on Sunday. When I lived in Arizona, I was a personal assistant to a guy that sold movie posters online. And my job was to photograph all of the posters to put them up for sale. So I've seen a lot of posters and like other stuff because, it wasn't just movie posters. It was stills and lobby cards. And I actually have an insert, which is like movie poster length, but like half the width. From a Steve McQueen movie. Yeah.
Cool.
I love that kind of stuff. So I'm actually really excited about that. That's one of the smaller panels that I have on my list.
I have a couple I didn't mention. One is obviously the only big one I'm going to is the Winona Earp Sunday at 5. Winona Earp is coming back. So basically one of the best shows that's been on TV in a while. And I know it sounds really stupid because it's a Western show and it's sci-fi, fantasy, more fantasy. So that's Sunday at 5. There's also Masters of Storytelling is Saturday at 1. It's got a bunch of people from Image Comics in it. Ed Brubaker, Jeff Brown, Alex DeCampi, who I'm friends with, which is not. We're putting out a True War Stories anthology this fall, so there's a little bit of conflict and interest here. But she does have a really good new book coming up. I'm not sure if I can say the name of it in the webcast. Can we drop F-bombs here?
Yeah, sure.
I did.
She has this really cool book coming out. It's like a pulpy vampire graphic novel called Dracula Motherfucker. I would read this if it wasn't like a friend writing it. Like it looks super cool. I cannot wait to just like sink my teeth into it, which I immediately regret.
Sink my teeth into it.
I immediately regret that one. It also has Matt Fraction in it, which if you're not familiar, he's the one that actually wrote the Canon Deaf Hawkeye, which is like a huge thing for me.
Matt Fraction Hawkeye is the best Hawkeye.
It's the best Hawkeye. It's the best. I will always be upset that they didn't use Matt Fraction Hawkeye for the MCU. I mean, I like that they wanted to pick a family man to kind of like explore what being a superhero would be like if you have a wife and kids. Fine, that's cool. But like Matt Fraction here, that was clearly the best Hawkeye that's ever existed.
Yeah, like ultimate Hawkeye. Nobody is
absolute best Hawkeye. So that panel is going to be Saturday at 1 p.m. It's probably just going to be them talking about cool stories. It says that they're going to be talking about how they explore storytelling in comics, but having been at Comics There, they're probably just going to tell a bunch of really fun stories from trying to pitch things, get them done, and then you might get a sneak peek at what they're working on. So it's probably going to be pretty cool. And those are the only two like big panels I'm going to. Everything else is how-to stuff.
So at this time, if we were in San Diego, it would be preview night and we'd be talking about this junk stuff. And we'd be like, oh, we got to wrap this up because we got like stuff to do. Like preview night or
party
parties. Or,
It's 9. We would already be doing that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
We would already be there.
We would have done this hours earlier if we were actually in San Diego.
Yes, it makes me sad though. Do we have any other programming, specific panels or anything we want to point out?
Kind of gone over mine already.
Yeah.
I have a lot, but well, no, I mean, I just have I have a lot on my schedule. I only mentioned the ones that I was really excited about.
Here's something.
Fair. Yeah.
Do any of us plan on doing anything for the panels for the website? Because usually if we are recapping a panel, it's because people can't be there, or we're live tweeting it because people can't be there. How should we approach because I mean, everyone can watch these. So
what if we just live snark it?
We could do that. So are there any that anyone wants to live tweet?
I was thinking actually about doing, I don't know if I would live tweet it. I actually had thought about live tweeting. I was like, can still live tweet just because it's on the internet doesn't mean everybody's going to be able to watch it. I'm not sure how they're handling, international viewing and all that kind of stuff, if it's going to be available in every country. But I had thought about for the Dragon Prince because I love the Dragon Prince.
I might do that weird kaiju one. It's just so weird.
I would love you to live snark that one.
So interesting.
I might do this a Power Rangers panel.
There's a couple Power Rangers panels.
Yeah, there's a couple. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: The Future Is Now. It's Wednesday at noon-ish. For some reason, it's 12:12 a.m. Wait, what? That's got to be a typo. Oh, okay, we're good. It's still at 1. It's Saturday at 1. They just updated it at a different time. That's my guilty pleasure. I know it's very popular, but I know it's a little kid show kind of. I love the Power Rangers. I watch all of them. I used to have
no shame.
I love the Power Rangers. I will probably live comment on that panel. And the 5 followers we have that are Power Rangers fans can just nerd out with me.
Oh yeah.
There are more Power Rangers fans than you give them credit for.
I'm very happy to hear that.
I think that it might also be really good to just have kind of panel recaps, because more people can see these panels, especially those smaller ones, and they don't know what they don't know, and so that we may be going to some really, really cool ones that people would never think about going to or viewing. And, having a brief synopsis and saying, this is why you should go to this one, or this is why you should watch this one, I think could be beneficial.
Oh, because they're going to have them available for a short time afterwards, right?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I heard somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
Well, I would imagine a lot of the ones that are going on YouTube will be on YouTube for a while. Some of them don't have links yet. I feel like those ones will be the ones that are only available for a limited time.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll see. One thing we do plan on doing, though, is after we have at least one article planned after the whole convention is over. I've written out some questions for those of us that are doing the press, about our experience with it. So at the very least, we're going to have a general recap of the con, and how it played out. So it's just going to be a weird year content-wise, because a lot of the stuff is us trying to bring the experience of Comic-Con to people that are not at Comic-Con, but this year, literally everyone can be there.
Yeah. And I'm press, they still did press for this year. We're still officially press, but there's no or very little press opportunities. I think I've only gotten one email about possible
press
interviews.
Rooms.
Yeah, there's no press rooms. I was kind of hoping they would try to do something. You could do a Zoom press
a little round table with 5, just like this, the person and 5 people.
Yeah, or even just have a Zoom press conference where you submit questions in advance or something like that. But I really think that because a lot of the bigger panels are pre-recorded, that the studios probably didn't even think about press. They were probably just oh, look, we're done. So that's going to be weird, and I do miss the press rooms. And actually, and we could probably talk about that like in the article like after. But like one of the things that bothered me is that for the panels that are going, like you had to have been following them on social media to know to submit questions. So I really wish that had been something that had been like better advertised.
Yeah.
Because I saw that I think the Dragon Prince announced in like early July that they were coming, like before the schedule came out. But I don't follow them on social media, so I don't follow a lot of TV shows. I follow like networks, but not like TV shows, individual TV shows. So I didn't see that until later. So I did not get my questions. Not that I could have. I can never think of anything to ask either. Not at a panel. Like there's stuff that whatever. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying.
It's gonna be interesting for sure, and obviously, with the three of you as press too, and I know that you all have plans to actually do a lot of panels. View a lot of panels. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out.
Yeah. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
And I'm actually still impressed with the amount of content we have. We already have 10 articles before the convention, and we're not like
There's no convention.
There's no convention. So I mean, and one of the articles is from Fareed, who wasn't even like gonna be at the convention. So thank you for that. But like I'm impressed with what we're managing to squeeze out of an unusual con. So good job for us.
Good job. All right, let's move on to our normal webcast kind of stuff. So let's do some recommendations now, and I'm gonna go first because I'm the boss. No, I don't know.
The host.
I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss.
You're the host.
Okay, so my recommendation, and I actually watched this before our last webcast, but for whatever reason, I didn't recommend it last time. Eurovision, The Story of Fire Saga is a film on Netflix that came out a couple weeks ago, and it stars Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams, Dan Stevens, and it's kind of a satire sort of film based on the Eurovision Song Competition. And it's very campy. It's very over the top. It's so fun though. And it's got like a great message. And I'm not a big Will Ferrell fan because he tends to go a little bit over the top for me, but he is a little bit toned down in this film. I mean, it's about Eurovision, so but it's actually very good. It's got a great message, and it's just so much fun to watch. And it actually features past Eurovision contestants throughout the film, and there's like a big I can't remember what they call it in the film, but like they all sing together. There's like a big medley where they're all singing. All I can think of is Riff Off, but that's from that other movie. I can't think of anything tonight.
It's perfect.
What is happening?
How
Pitch
brains.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having some issues. Anyway, Eurovision, Netflix, watch it. It's really cute.
Okay, my recommendation is something I recommended like 3 months ago, but then it got pulled because of the coronavirus, because the voice actors couldn't go in and complete it, but it's coming back. That would be the anime Fugo Kaiji, which is a millionaire detective balance unlimited. It's basically like a detective show. One of the characters is like a billionaire with an unlimited bank account, can do anything he wants, and it's like really flashy and like sports cars crashing through shit, and like it's over the top, but also the two main characters are extremely shippable.
As with most anime.
So that is my current like hyperfixation to like distract myself from how weird the world is this ship. Like so I'm writing fanfic for this ship for like the first time in 4 months because I've been like having severe writer's block because of the coronavirus. Like I just have not been able to put words to a page, at least fiction words. So I recommend this because it's really fun and shippable. And it's pulling me out of my writer's block. So everyone else go and enjoy it. It might already be back. I saw some people last night saying it was supposed to be back today with episode 3, but I thought it was supposed to come back at the end of the month, like July 30th.
I thought it was the end of the month too.
Yeah,
now I have to check.
I'm gonna have to double check too. But they did 2 episodes and then stopped, and they had a 3rd episode but never aired it. They just like held on to it for some reason, even though they said they were gonna release it. They didn't. Thanks for like teasing us, I guess.
Okay, well my source only has the 2. So.
Okay, good. Because I saw last night they're like, someone on Twitter is like, "Ooh, Kaiji comes back today," and I'm like,
maybe it's next week.
Yeah, it should. I thought it was like the end of July. So.
I thought it was too. Yeah.
But we'll see. Anyway, if you can't wait, I should have some fanfic ups. That's my rec.
Mine is I didn't have anything new that I watched. I watched Cursed today on Netflix, but I don't recommend that. I'm writing my review.
Are you reviewing that?
Yeah, I'm reviewing that as soon as we get off of this. But so I don't have anything new, but something I've been watching that I put on like to watch while I eat is Drunk History, which I am a big fan of. That's on Hulu. Most of the stuff is on Hulu, and it's like that's just a really fun way to. It's not always historically accurate, but it gets you. I mean, it honestly probably teaches you more than the American education system does. But there's some really good episodes. I definitely recommend. It's I think from season 3. It's the one about Hawaii. Steven Yeun is in it, and that's probably my favorite episode.
What about Hawaii? Suddenly you've got my interest.
No, just the episode focuses on Hawaii. So there's one about Eddie, the surfer.
Eddie Aikau?
Yeah, and then one about he was in World War II, and then I think he was a senator for Hawaii, and then another Hawaii one. But they're all stories about like Hawaiian. Season 3, something. Yeah.
Cool.
Just kind of a side note, Jamie, about Cursed. Farida's in the chat, and he said that he put up a reaction video to Cursed season 1 finale. So be sure to check that out after you read Jamie's review.
I reviewed the book last year too. If anybody so.
Did you like the book?
No, I did not.
So basically, we're never getting press access to anything related to Cursed. So we are dragging it everywhere. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'll talk about it in my review. But it's one of those things where it was like, yeah, the book wasn't that great, but like when you make it a show, you can iron out some of those issues. But with how involved the writers were with the show, I really didn't have that high of hope. So. And it's like, it was essentially the same stuff, but longer because it's an entire tone.
All right, Kai, what you got?
I have 2. One, Bad Karma, which I wrecked last time I was on the show. The comic about 2 disabled war veterans who are trying to make up for something really bad they did in the past, and just they're just they try really hard and they're just not really good at being normal people, so they mess it up a lot. The chapter 2 of that dropped on Panel Syndicate, which is really cool because you can pay what you want for it. The other thing is Neil Gaiman's Sandman audio adaptation dropped on Audible. So if anyone else has the Audible subscription like I do, we do not get a profit. We don't get profit sharing from them. Why don't we have we should have a sponsorship with them, because I feel like I mentioned it a lot.
I get a lot of emails from them too.
Yeah, they should sponsor us. But Sandman, the audio adaptation, it's supposed to be really good. I have not listened to it yet. It's in my to-do list, but it has some really big names behind it, and he directly had say over how it was being done. So fingers crossed it doesn't suck. Michael Sheen's in it. I know that. I would watch a diaper commercial with Michael Sheen in it, honestly.
That's very specific.
Now I'm imagining. Well, started to. My mom says, my mom has this thing she says about all the celebrities she likes where she says, I would watch a douche commercial with him in it. And I got to that word and I was like, I don't know if I want to say that. Like, do we want to talk about feminine hygiene? I don't think we do. So I went diaper and I don't think that was better.
It really wasn't.
That's baby hygiene. It's baby hygiene.
He's
Like,
not in the diaper. That's not what we're implying.
Well, now he is, Jamie. What did you say that? Now he's in the diaper. It's a diaper commercial with Michael Sheen in a diaper.
what's happened to him?
This is gone off the rails, guys.
Hi, yes. Hello.
Oh man. No.
Uh,
Oh, there's a cat now.
this is my elderly cat who has almost died like 8 times.
Oh.
Bruce has been wandering around like behind me, in front of me. Like he's made lots of cameos.
Yeah.
Merlin's
Well, his
asleep in the
tail
bathroom.
has made a lot of cameos. I know that.
Merlin's asleep on the
spent,
bathroom
like, a
floor.
solid, yeah. I saw
Oh,
Erin,
yeah.
Minnie spent like a solid like 10 minutes just like posing behind her shoulder.
That's Minnie.
Mimi, okay.
Yeah, she's a very diva person, cat, not a person. Anyway, so we're gonna skip quarantine shout outs because this is not a quarantine video. So you know,
Oh, but I actually sort of had one. I didn't put it in the document, but
Is it with that little boy?
no.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead then.
It's Henry Cavill
Oh,
building his own computer.
okay, fair enough. We can
Fair
include
enough.
this.
He knows what he was doing with that.
Thank you. He knows his audience.
He knows.
Yes.
Come on, stop, kitty. Come on.
I'm not usually into like the big beefy guys, but yep, he does it for me. All right, so next time I have a question. What should we watch next time? Angel, you put a little note in here.
We should play Fareed's game if it's done. If not, we can push it back. But
Yeah,
Fareed has a game that he's making, and that looks interesting. I don't know if it can be played remotely though. But we should try.
I think that I actually looked at his video. I don't know if you watched the video yet.
I haven't.
It's actually a battle royale kind of game. So if each of us had a print and play of our character's deck, yes, we could play it. I don't know if it'll be ready in a week. I would give him like a little time. But
I don't have access to a printer.
Me neither. I don't have access. Maybe someone who does have access to a printer can print them all out and send them to us. So this might be like a month from now.
I'll have access to a printer when I'm in the office, which won't be for another 2 weeks.
Mine is like right there. So I guess that's
all right. So maybe not next week. Maybe like in a month.
I have a printer. It doesn't have ink, and it hasn't for like 8 years. So
well, anyway, none of us do printers.
No, I print at work if I need to print.
It's funny you should mention printing at work because my work, sorry, this is really off topic, but it's printer related. My work sent out, or like they posted on our intranet site that they were getting rid of a bunch of printers in our corporate offices because they're not getting used, but they're not getting used even when we're in the office. And the only time they're probably ever getting used is by people who are just using it for their personal use. Because nobody has printers. So my work is like, yeah, we're getting rid of them. So
does anyone really print anything anymore? Like literally the only time I print anything is if I'm making like a demo copy of a game and I just want to like work on mechanics, or if I have to print something and fax it because I'm doing it for a government office and they won't accept a PDF edited or an edited PDF.
My work sends a lot of stuff to our members. So since we're remote, we have a couple people still in the office and we just like send it to those people to print and they print it for us and do all the in-house stuff. So I don't know what I'm going to do and I have to print out a plane ticket again because that's usually what I do.
Yeah, I was like, I print a lot. Like I print if I like if I have movie tickets, I print them. I mean, I know you can get all that stuff on your phone. I know, but like I'm always paranoid that my battery is gonna run out, even if it's like. So I'm like anything that I can have on my phone, I'm like I'll just print that. I'd feel better having a printed copy, because who knows what the hell my phone's gonna do when I have to like actually go there. So I was like, I print out a lot of stuff. I would have printed out my Comic-Con schedule by this point.
Me too. I would have had all my offsite tickets printed out,
I do the book. I always have the programming book every year, and it's like completely beaten up by the end of it because I just have the programming book and I just circle everything and dog ear pages and stuff.
I mean, I always go through the book, but I usually have like my schedule.
Your setup schedule?
Yeah.
That sounds so organized, Jamie.
Yeah, but then I have to back up.
Yeah, because I was like, I'll print it from like the Comic-Con, like the My Sketch. Like I'll print that, but I also make my own schedule, usually using like Google Sheets, and like I make a bar like graph schedule. I was like, that gets printed. If I like print out like questions in advance, like I'm just much better having like a physical copy in front of me.
You would not like my method of handwritten notes, which is how I keep my schedule straight. So.
Well, for press rooms, I usually have shit scribbled down in a notebook, but for everything else, because I have a lot of free time at work, which I probably shouldn't say in public, but I usually will sit there, and especially like the week before San Diego, I don't get a whole lot done because I'm focused on that. So I was like, I sit there and make out my schedule.
You can print my schedule for me next time. All right. So let's move on to our question. I put this out there, but I don't really know if I have a good answer for it. So the question is, what would be your dream panel? And now that we have talked about Henry Cavill doing the building of his PC, I would like to see that live. Thank you.
My dream panel is one where I'm on it, and like that. It's very selfish, but I just really want to be on a San Diego Comic-Con panel. I started making one this year, but then I thought the convention was canceled, so I never submitted it. So maybe I'll try next year. I'll have to get in touch with everyone again. But it was going to be about like being a geek blogger from a marginalized community, and like I had a pretty broad spectrum of people from different communities on it, but then like coronavirus hit and I didn't submit it, and now this is happening. But I don't know, like I just really want to be on a panel.
That's the dream, really. So
mine is probably just as somebody that's a big like anime fan, and now like getting into like the Chinese dramas and everything like that. I really wish we had more panels. I mean, and I know it's like a cost thing and a scheduling thing, but I was like, I really wish we could get more panels with celebrities from like other countries to come on. I'd actually like, I'd really love an Untamed panel.
Oh my god. Yeah, but
that's never,
pretty niche. Yeah, well, not niche, but
no, it's not happening. And I that's why it's my dream. I would love to have that. There's a lot of, and you see these like videos that's like really cool. Like if I could go to like Japan or China and like see these things myself, because they do some really cool things on like panels and stuff in Asia.
They had a really cool event for the Modao Zushi Donghua the other day, and I can't believe they were having a big gathering like right now, but they did, and it had like little baby Lonmonuchi. I'm just like,
yeah, it's Modao Zushi Q. It's like it's an entire chibi version.
How are they having events? This is like, it's so sad. But anyway, I'm gonna just cry over here in the corner. Continue.
That's the life right now.
Go
ahead.
Corner.
I know now. They've earned it.
I think my dream panel is a cheating panel because it's actually asking for a show. I want a Star Trek Starfleet Academy show, and I want a Star Trek panel announcing the launching of this show with and I could like Dreamcast it all day long. A while back when they were going to do Enterprise, they had floated a whole bunch of ideas for cool, different Star Trek shows they're going to do, just exploring other parts of the universe. And, you know, I love Discovery. I do. It's different. But I have never gotten over the fact that they floated a Starfleet Academy show and then never ran it. That's the best idea because, you know, once you get to I am an officer on a ship, you have a certain level of decorum that you have to run. But like, you're in Starfleet Academy, that's the time to make stupid rookie baby mistakes, you know? I think that would have been a really great show, and I think it would be a really useful place to bring in retired characters from other shows as teachers in it. And there's just so much more of the universe you could explore there. So I want a Starfleet Academy announcement panel.
You should go to one of those panels that's like how to pitch a TV show and then just like do
Pitch
that.
a TV
for real.
show.
Oh, they're actually, if you look at my how-to article, which is up on our website, I have an article about all the things aspiring creators should go to. And that's actually on there. They have like a how to write something from the screen and how to write for the writer's room. I just literally had to stop and stare into space for like however long I just stared into space, thinking about how awesome it would be to be in the writer's room on a Starfleet Academy. I'm not worthy, honestly. Like, my scripting is pretty good for comics. I mean, I'm getting a lot of help from Alex, so I'm learning a lot about scripting for comics, and it's very similar. But I don't think I am worthy yet, but I would do it anyway.
Like, I would get their coffee.
Hire me for the Starfleet Academy show, and I will let you pet my dogs. This is me talking to producers.
Yes.
I will let you pet my dog.
I like the enthusiasm, and you were only staring off for like a second and a half, so it was fine.
I'm so glad.
All right, so we'll wrap
Do
it
you
up
see
now.
Freed
But
panel down there, Aaron?
oh yeah. We're not going there. All right,
It's in the chat. You can all see it.
he's being sassy. Okay. So yeah, so definitely watch our social media and obviously the site itself, because kind of what we talked about, anything can happen as far as coverage goes. So make sure that you're tuned in and everything, and watching out for that. So hopefully we will be able to come back to you next year. I was going to say in person, but it would still be a webcast, but us in person in San Diego. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying. All right. I'm Erin.
But it's not together in 12 months. I'm going to shake my finger angrily. Anyway.
Yeah, that would be, I really want to see you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
I just really want to leave the state.
Oh my, take 3, Aaron.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine. And now they just know who I am. So
You're Aaron.
I'm Erin, along with Admin Angel, Jamie, and Kai. Thank you again for joining us for Feelings with the Geekiary SDCC at Home edition. Remember, we're a free webcast run off of donations from viewers like you. Thanks for contributing and helping our host site, the Geekiary, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.